Howdy, y'all. This is Mar. Welcome to week 7 of Elementally Intuitive Movement on KidPass. Now we are at level 1, which is finding our centers. So when we were finding our centers, level 0, our hands were connected, and that was our limitation. Level 1, our hands are connected to our bodies. So we can either have both hands on our bodies or one hand on our bodies, with our other hand exploring our spheres as one hand is exploring the body. But when we start out, let's start out with our hands on our bodies. But before we even get to level 1, we are going to warm up. So we've got our shimmy. Shake off any tension that we may be feeling. Add in our wacky arms. Maintaining breathing in through our nostrils, inhaling through our nostrils. Maintaining a steady breath as possible. Holding ourselves up with our centers. Maintaining our base in a position that helps to support our knees. Paying attention to how it feels and how our bodies are feeling as we're doing what we're doing. And give a high five all around, into the side, and down, and behind, into the front, and up and down. Ooh. All right, so now we're warmed up. And level 1. And our first foundation is breath. And now that we have our hands on our centers, we can really feel our diaphragms engaging when we take that breath in. We feel the belly expand out. We feel it contract in. And if we can't feel that expansion out and contraction in, then do it so that you can feel that expansion out and contraction in. This is part of finding our centers, getting in touch with what we're doing, feeling that breath, maintaining that constant motion with the lower body. We can shift orientation. But we're still stationary spheres, the way that we were, stationary bases, stable bases. As we're exploring our bodies with our hands and finding our centers, we're getting a sense of proprioception. This is where our bodies are in space. We're stimulating cutaneous nerves, which are the nerves in our skin, on the surface of our skin. We can apply pressure, so we can do some self-massage. And it's really simple. We can just hold the position with our hands and pin down the muscle and then move. I'm not stretching. So that very gently stretches out the tissue, the muscle tissues, mobilizes. We're still mobilizing because we're still moving. Warming up our joints, creating synovial fluid. But we're also getting a better sense of where our bodies are in space. Level 1 is an opportunity to thank our bodies as we are getting a sense of where we are in space. When we're reaching down to access our legs, we're stretching. We want to be sure that we're hinging at our hips to support our spines. And think about breath as we are exploring our centers and feeling the importance of that slower breath. Not only does it allow for greater filtration, it also allows more time for nitric oxide to build up inside our nasal cavities. That's our first line of defense against space invaders, incoming bacteria. And we're still exploring space creatively when it comes to how we move our bodies and how we're exploring motion through our spheres. We're just maintaining a hand in contact with our bodies as we do it, whether one hand is in or one hand is out, or both hands are in and one hand is out. Pace of breath. And then pause. After we've fully exhaled, pausing at the end of the exhale to help build up that CO2 tolerance, the carbon dioxide tolerance. The more carbon dioxide tolerance we have, the less breaths we take per minute. The less breaths we take per minute, the calmer our bodies register that we are. Our nervous systems register that we're safe. When our nervous systems register that we're safe, our perspective is different than when our nervous systems register that we're in danger. Our bodies function in different ways. We have more energy and resources available for digestion and for restoration, self-repair. So as we're finding our centers, awareness of our breath, and really paying attention to our breathing is so important. Now, I know we were practicing that all through the first 6 levels, the first 6 weeks, as we went through all those levels, or all those different foundations, practicing level O. And we continue practicing it, but now we have more sensory information coming in, because we are getting contact with ourselves with our hands. So we're getting sensory information into our fingertips and also onto our bodies. And getting a sense for what it feels like to get that input from both our hands and our bodies at the same time. And recognize if we notice any discomfort along the way. We can add mobilization, make a self-massage, do that same that I was saying, that pinning, that holding down the muscle, and then adding movement. As I'm holding down the muscle, I'm not just holding it in place, I'm also pushing it back. Why am I doing this? Because I want to open my pectoral muscles so that it's easier for me to be open and upright. If my chest muscles are tight and constricted and holding me forward, then it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be harder for me to be upright. So this being our self-massage level, we've still got one hand on us. We can now open up our chest, which makes it easier to take a full breath, full open breath, because it's an open space versus a confined space. and we're still mobilizing. The main goal of AIM is mobilization. But as we're mobilizing, we're getting the secondary benefit of self-massage. The self-massage helps support our bodies so that we feel better. When we feel better, we're easier to communicate with. We communicate more easily with others as well. Level 1 gives us a chance to check in with ourselves too. Sometimes we don't know what's going on in our bodies until somebody else presses and pushes, as in getting a massage from a massage therapist or going to a doctor. And if we take the time to check in with ourselves, we are more able to communicate to others if something needs attention, or provide our bodies the attention ourselves. Once our bodies recognize that there's something going on, they tend to do their work and try to self-repair. If their body notices discomfort in an area, then that discomfort stimulates the body's self-repair response. It doesn't take a lot of discomfort. It's just enough for the body to know, oh, there's something going on here. Our goal isn't to hurt ourselves. Our goal is just to recognize what's happening. What do we feel? So our bodies can remember to do what they need to do, which is repair and restore. Are you breathing through your nostrils? Inhaling through your nostrils. Have you been hinging at the hip? Is your center engaged? Supporting your spine all the way around? Is your chest open? Remember, you can change up how we explore. It doesn't always have to be slow. It can be fast. If anything, because our hands are on our bodies, we get to explore applying more force with our motions and feel like we're supported. We're more stable because our hands are on our bodies. Our hands are on our centers. We don't have our hands away from us. With both hands out, then we have two levers out. With one hand out, we have a lever that destabilizes us, but we're stabilizing ourselves with this other hand in. By adding more force to our movements, we add more force to our bodies to have to adapt to, which increases the cardiovascular exercise, which is also going to challenge our breathing. So we're going to want to breathe more rapidly. Try to maintain that breath slow and steady. If you notice that you have to exhale through your mouth instead of your nostrils because you're breathing so quickly, that's okay. Forcefully, that's okay. Slow down. To slow down your breathing. Speed up to increase the challenge to maintain to that slow breath rate and increase your heart rate. And it increases the force on our joints too. So that's helping to support, build strength through that challenge. And remember, you don't have to do what I'm doing. What I'm doing is just examples of ways that we can move and practice our level O. Feet close together, feet further apart. What matters most is what? We're hinging at the hip. Our feet are in alignment with our knees in a way that best supports our knees. We're supporting our spines with that hip hinge and with the muscles all the way around. We're inhaling through our nostrils as much as possible, as slowly as we can, as steadily as we can. The self-massage that we're getting is a secondary bonus of this mobilization process. So is the sense of proprioception, supporting that sense of proprioception, which helps support our sense of balance as well. Every day is different. Every day that we practice aim is different. All this week as you practice your aim, maintaining contact with your vessel, whether it's one hand or both. Pay attention to your breath more than anything else. By this point, because we are on week 7, your autopilot probably does have a pretty good sense of foot placement and hinging and holding ourselves up and maintaining our centers. And that's nice to recognize and appreciate how much progress our autopilots have made in providing that support. It's awesome to witness that. But for the purposes of this week and what we're doing, let's focus on that breath. That's your primary ball. That's the main sphere that we want to think about as we are maintaining contact with our body, with our hands. And still exploring. We're still exploring motion, moving through space. Now the limitation is at least one hand on the body, but there's so many different ways that we can move with either both of our hands on our bodies or one hand on our body. It's just up to us, really, to explore and discover. Level 1, doesn't have to be the hands, it can be our arms connected to our bodies. So that's the contact. It's just the arms, so it's kind of hands-free, but we're still mobilizing. We're moving our bodies in different, unique ways that we don't do on a regular basis. And we're still getting a sense of proprioception. It's giving us a different read of proprioception of where our bodies are in space than we get from our hands. So working with both of those is a good opportunity to explore motion, to mobilize, and to get creative. We can thank our heads for holding our brains, and our eyes, and our ears, and our noses, and our mouths, because so many of our senses are right here. So we're grateful for these heads and our necks, and appreciate our necks, and appreciate our arms, our shoulders, for all of the ways that they can move. So many different ways that they can move, and appreciate that. And our elbows for how they bend, and our wrists for how they swivel, and our hands for all the ways that they can move and grasp. Thank the other side too. Appreciate what this body can do. That's level 1. Returning to center and appreciating the self and center. Thanking our lungs, thanking our chests for being open for our breath. Thanking our stomachs for all that they can digest, and our guts for processing that which needs to be processed. Our hips for this wonderful hinging ability that they have so that we can access different space and elevation while still protecting our spines. Thank our thighs for carrying us and holding us, and for all the ways that they can move thanks to this hip, these wonderful hips that allow for this mobility and versatility. But we are staying with our stationary spheres there, stationary bases. Our knees for bending, for their ability to bend and take us down to the ground and then lift us back up again. We thank our calves and our shins because they connect our feet to the rest of us and carry us as we walk and travel through life. We thank our ankles for their ability to move and swivel so that our feet have flexibility to move. So as we ambulate and walk through life, we can do so with ease. Because when our ankles are stiff, it's a lot harder to move and walk easily. So appreciate the mobility, give them a little swivel, and that helps to stretch out our feet too. Give your toes a little stretch and thank them for all that they do to help support us and provide a stable foundation for our feet, because our toes are part of that process too. Without our toes, walking would be really challenging. So appreciate. As we breathe and mobilize. And now to close out, we are going to do some bagalizing. And we will bagalize with the vowels. And we will sing the vowels and laugh the vowels while feeling the vibrations in our tummies and really feeling that vagal tone, that vagal nerve getting stimulated through the vibrations that we're creating. Ooh. Ah, 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 eh, 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 e, 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 oh, 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 ooh. Ah, ha, 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 eh, he, 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 oh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, there we go. So we supported our vagal tone, got a little silly, felt it, and yeah. So here we are, week 7. I'm Mar, Elementally Intuitive Movement here on KidPass, level 1. So for the rest of the week, continue practicing level 1, mobilize. If you want to mix in some O with your 1, go ahead. That gives you some variety. But just think about your breath. That's the main sphere that we're keeping in motion this week is breath. Inhaling through the nostrils, keeping it slow, keeping that pace slow. You know why. You got it. Thank you.